So you've had a marvellous healing in your early 30s with this breathing technique. How did you go from there to training up as a healer yourself?
Well, one day my psychologist told me to stand on a premise and look back over my life and see where it was leading me. And suddenly the penny dropped and I said, I want to do what you're doing. I want to perform these miracles. I want to learn what you know. So I took myself off to university to find out about the techniques he was using. And after a year there, it was obvious to me that they were teaching from the intellect and not from feelings.
So they didn't teach about this healing breathing technique?
No.
Well, where would the psychologist have learned that from?
I take it that he used to experiment on himself. And as he told me, that him and a friend used to do experiments with breathing techniques. But he hadn't told me the name of the technique he was using. So I thought I had to become a psychologist. So I thought, well, if it's a psychologist I have to become to be this miracle worker, that's what I'm about to do.
So after a year at university and realising that what this psychologist had taught you is not taught in any university, where did that leave you? How did you find a course or a training or a mentor or somebody to give you these skills?
Well, it was a whole lot of coincidences. I had broken fingernails that were quite painful, so I took myself off to a naturopath in my area, in the area where I lived. And when I arrived there, it was quite eerie. She looked at me and said, "You haven't come here for your broken fingernails. There's a much bigger reason why you've come." And I felt a shiver all over me. And she handed me a brochure for workshops she was holding in her house. So I thought, well, that's interesting. And there was a workshop that I attended on colours with a Buddhist nun, and later in the evening there was another workshop with a very peculiar name being held, and the name was rebirthing.
Did you say rebirthing?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think that was?
I didn't know. I was so curious. What a strange name, rebirthing. What could it mean? So my curiosity kept me there, not knowing at the time I had been rebirthed for 6 years. So I attended this rebirthing seminar with the rebirther, and she put on one of Leonard Orr's tapes to begin the seminar. And 5 minutes into the tape, the penny dropped, and I connected my healing with this process called, now I knew it was called rebirthing.
So John Priest had actually been giving you a crude form of rebirthing.
Absolutely.
And that's what healed you.
That is what healed me. I hadn't put it down to the healing, to the breathing, I should say. I hadn't credited the breathing for anything. I thought it was John Priest that healed me.
But he had some kind of subtle skills. He was working in the background.
Absolutely. I thought it's some kind of miracle worker that he'd learned through his studies as a psychologist. I had no idea that it was the breathing, but he did tell me he had tried every other method to heal people, and this was the only way, that this was the only thing that worked.